for this network for the strong, not the weak.
If they went against the owner's wishes. However, those television documentaries and references in history books seldom explore the very personal horrors faced by those who were enslaved some 2 centuries ago. Here are some instances where slaves were forced into extreme sexual behaviors and reproducing children to replenish the number of slaves solely for the benefit of their masters. Number 1. Slave women were subjected to many sexual improprieties. Among them were violations by their masters and their sons, forced matings, and arranged marriages. Number 2. Historian E. Franklin Frazier said stockmen were weighed and tested before being put into a room with young women to mate for the purpose of bearing children. Number 3. By the end of the 18th century, the breeding of slaves was a common practice. Laws were changed so the public could view slaves as things instead of people, so the owner could do with them as he wished. Slave owners even began believing that slavery was grounded in the Bible. Number 4. American slaves in 1860 were worth $4 billion, which was far more than the $228 million worth of gold and silver circulating back then. Even the value of southern farmland, $1.92 billion, did not amount to the worth of the slaves. So for the owners, their slaves were worth everything to them. Number 5. The mortality rate among slaves was very high, so their owners would often encourage or force them to have children. Even at the age of 13, females were expected to begin having children to replenish the slave stock. They were expected to or 5 children by the age of 20. They were often encouraged by their owners to do this with the promise of freedom. Number 6. Female slaves who did not cooperate with their owners to bear children for them would be subjected to many and various punishments, both mental and physical. Number 7. In some instances, the females who bore children for their owners were given gifts, including extra clothing, the withdrawal of any harsh treatment, and sometimes, if their quota was met, freedom. Number 8. Women who did not or could not bear children would not be given any breaks or rewards that were given to mothers, and they would do the same work on the level of men. Number 9. If a woman was deemed infertile, she would sometimes be separated from her family, and owners would sometimes split up married couples and require them to choose new partners. Number 10. Male slaves at the age of 15 were inspected to see if they could breed well. If it was deemed that they could not, their testicles would be castrated. Over the course of 5 years, each young male was expected to get at least slavery is a deplorable notion. One person owning another is just not acceptable in today's world. But history bears out the ugly truth of rich, white plantation owners in Southern America owning black Americans and treating them with harsh physical punishments if they went against the owner's wishes. However, those television documentaries and references in history books seldom explore the very personal horrors faced by those who were enslaved some 2 centuries ago. Here are some instances where slaves were forced into extreme sexual behaviors and reproducing children to replenish the number of slaves solely for the benefit of their masters. Number 1. Slave women were subjected to many sexual improprieties. Among them were violations by their masters and their sons, forced matings, and arranged marriages. Number 2. Historian Franklin Frazier said stockmen were weighed and tested before being put into a room with young women to mate for the purpose of bearing children. Number 3. By the end of the 18th century, the breeding of slaves was a common practice. Laws were changed so the public could view slaves as things instead of people, so the owner could do with them as he wished. Slave owners even began believing that slavery was grounded in the Bible. Number 4. American slaves in 1860 were worth $4 billion, which was far more than the $228 million worth of gold and silver circulating back then. Even the value of Southern farmland, $1.92 billion, did not amount to the worth of the slaves. So for the owners, their slaves were worth everything to them. Number 5. The mortality rate among slaves was very high, so their owners would often encourage or force them to have children. Even at the age of 13, females were expected to begin having children to replenish the slave stock. They were expected to have 4 or 5 children by the age of 20. They were often encouraged by their owners to do this with the promise of freedom. Number 6. Female slaves who did not cooperate with their owners to bear children for them would be subjected to many and various punishments, both given gifts, including extra clothing, the withdrawal of any harsh treatment, and sometimes, if their quota was met, freedom. Number 8. Women who did not or could not bear children would not be given any breaks or rewards that were given to mothers, and they would do the same work on the level of men. Number 9. If a woman was deemed infertile, she would sometimes be separated from her family, and owners would sometimes split up married couples and require them to choose new partners. Number 10. Male slaves at the age of 15 were inspected to see if they could breed well. If it was deemed that they could not, their testicles would be castrated. Over the course of 5 years, each young male was expected to get at least 12 female slaves pregnant. According to the slave narratives, a male slave who gave birth was said to have fathered over 200 children. Number 11. Plantation owners would often take the pretty female slaves and put them to work in the household. But if the owner showed affections or gave favors to the pretty girl, his wife would subject her to torture. If the pretty slave bore a child, the owner's wife would subject her to that child. Number 12. To provide entertainment for his friends, the plantation owner would sometimes arrange orgies among the male and female slaves. His friends would be allowed to join in them. Number 13. A slave wife could never be faithful to her husband, as most owners demanded she have affairs with other men, nor was she allowed to remain pure or virtuous. Number 14. Some male slaves were purchased by their owners solely by the size of their penis, and the black men were often raped by their gay slave owners. This process was called breaking the buck. And finally, number 15. Not all owners abandoned the children they fathered with female slaves. Some would provide them with education and money, and some owners even set free their mistresses and mixed-race children. That's all for today. Let us know what you think about today's topic in the comments section below. Don't forget to like us and be sure to subscribe for more stories like this. Get addicted to the good stuff.
Good evening. It's your man HRap coming at you live and direct. This is built for this network. I'm having technical difficulties, so I can't even chat in the damn chat room. But don't even worry about it. I'm here to talk anyway. I ain't here to chat. Thank you for tuning in. This is the end of the bench, as I said, hosted by myself. Bit frustrated today. But I'm going to keep it pushing. I'm going to keep it pushing. Now, this is a simulcast on Spreaker.com. And you can go to Spreaker.com, hit the like button, and tune in from there. Subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Or you can do the same here on YouTube. Go to YouTube, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and you'll get notifications every time I tune in. Thank you for tuning in. We are on several different platforms. We're on Twitter right now, live on Twitter. We are on Twitch, live on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're on Spreaker, and this is a podcast, so you know you can get it on Spreaker.com, YouTube, Built for This Network. You go to Built for This Network on these following applications that I'm about to say. Built for This Network on Spreaker.com, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and Amazon Podcasts. They are all available there. All you have to do is subscribe and move along. You'll get notifications. You can watch it live. You can watch it whenever you want to, and we will keep it rocking. You know how I do every week. And I acknowledge my family. My family, everybody connected to the Pollard, Whitmore, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Chris, Lansdowne, Thompson, Shaw, Liggins, Duncan, and you know my father, my mother, my brothers and sisters, and everybody connected. We're the Williams clan, and we're here, and I'm here to represent for them. Thank you. Oh, now, as you saw on that, I put that out there to bring it to your attention the things that are going on in our culture, right? Some of these things affect us to this day. They are psychosomatic, and potentially I felt some of it today, my damn self. But y'all didn't come here to hear about my damn problems. Y'all came to hear about the problems of the community and how we can potentially fix them. I want to send positive vibes down to New Orleans first and foremost. In New Orleans, people are going through hell right now. A hurricane is potentially on its way to hit New Orleans, and it's going through Mississippi and other Gulf Coast cities, Biloxi and things of that nature throughout the Gulf of Mexico. I'm praying for the people down there. Some people have evacuated, other people have not. And if you have not, I pray for the best for you. I send nothing but positive vibes. These are things that we have to deal with annually. Some people will attach this to global warming. Some people will say whatever. But hey, these are things that people down there in our community are dealing with. I want them to get the best care, get the most assistance, and get the hell up out of there if you can. If you can't, hopefully you get to a very safe place and you'll be in a very positive situation going forward. Now, one of the things that annoys the hell out of me is we live in this country and people always talk about the land of the free and the home of the brave. And you want to talk about rights and things of that nature, and people just don't give a damn about other people, right? The reason I'm saying that is this damn eviction mandate has been lifted. Now, if you want to be a jerk ass, yeah, I'm pissed today. Mad at myself. But anyway, you could be a jerk ass and say, hey, well, people need to be paying their bills. But we're in the midst of a medical pandemic, right? We got people people are dropping dead on a regular basis. We don't know what it's from. Is it from COVID? Is it from anything else? We really don't know, and we never will know. But you look around the world and you see other governments who are in less powerful countries. This is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we stand for the civil rights and civil liberties, and the government's supposed to stand up for our people so well. Hey, instead of spending billions upon billions of dollars on wars, how about spending billions upon billion dollars of people who are inside of the borders of the United States of America, and not have people potentially on the way to winter that could be living out in the streets? You're talking about 750,000 people may be out in the streets in the oncoming winter months. How does that make sense to you? But it's just you've been put in a situation to whereas you have a bunch of dumbass people in the United States of America. I'm just gonna keep it real today. I'm annoyed, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth how I see it. You have people who think impoverished people or people who are scared to death about some things that we know nothing about, we've never seen before, and the damn world hasn't seen anything of this nature in 100 years. The last time there was something like this, it was called the Spanish flu. You got 3 million households are in danger. You got 750,000 people, and I got an emergency alert coming through right now. You see what I'm saying? This is an ongoing situation, and we spend frivolous dollars on any and everything from coast to coast and border to border, but we cannot keep people off the streets. We cannot keep people off the streets. How is that possible? You can spend $1 billion. New York City can spend $7 billion. $3 billion on police, but you can't keep people out the streets. You got other places like Chicago and Los Angeles spending billions of dollars on the police, but you can't put in something that'll help these people stay out of the street. How is that possible? People are afraid, and people just don't give a damn. People are afraid of they're losing their lives, they're losing their health, they're losing a lot of things. And people in the United States federal government are saying, so what? You got the Supreme Court with a bunch of jerks up there talking about, hey man, people need to start going to work and paying their bills. You don't know who's going to die, who's going to live. We don't know what this is. We've never seen it. Look, whether you are a vaxxer or not, it's really not my concern. My concern is, as I drive through the city of Chicago, as I did today, you got a bunch of people on Chicago Avenue, one of the biggest thoroughfares in the city, one of the biggest avenues in the city, you got people living under viaducts. When you drive on one of the biggest interstates in the city, the Dan Ryan Expressway, you got tent city on one side and people living under the expressway on the other side. This is ridiculous. How is it that we got people in a major city like Chicago, New York, and all the rest of the major cities, and people living outside? You got Skid Row in LA. At least the weather is reasonable in most cases in Los Angeles, but it gets cold there too. You shouldn't have people living outside, and at the rate we're going, it's going to be more people living outside. And then you got people, and look, I don't want anybody to suffer anywhere you live on this damn planet, right? But why are we worried about what's going on in Afghanistan, and we're not even worried about the people that may be homeless in 4 months? Homeless in 4 months. I know you've been trained to believe that everybody who hasn't been paying their bills are scammers and they're lazy and things of that nature, but nah. A lot of these people are scared for their lives. A lot of these people are scared for their lives. And you know what? The people who are anti this and pro that and don't know this and don't know that, look, it's a lot of people that are just afraid. Oh, well, you should have went and got the vaccine. What the hell does that mean to somebody who's scared to death? Stop it, man. Stop it. Start giving a damn about people and stop listening to the television and the news reporters and the rappers and the entertainers and people like me who just sit around and just run their damn mouths. You have to be worried about you and only you, because you're the only person that you're going to have to answer to. So with this nonsense about what I would do, who cares what you would do? It's people who are afraid. It's people who are about to be homeless. Yeah, we know you get up and you do what you're supposed to do, so they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. But the next time somebody is in a bad situation or you're in a bad situation, you remember those things. You remember those things because those things that you remember you saying that, and that's exactly what you'll be thinking about. I got a friend in Big Illinois, just put it in the chat room for number 15. Since February of 2020, this is my 15th friend that I'll never see again. Salute to my man, Big Country. He's out of here. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. And that has nothing to do with how I feel, because this stuff was rolled down before even Big Country even transitioned to the other side. See, we always worried about what the TV says, and we need to start thinking in a humanitarian way. And if you don't, that's cool. But your turn coming. Your turn is coming. And remember these things. Remember how you felt when you thought about somebody losing their home or being homeless, and they're scammers and they're lazy. Yeah, you know what? They say the same thing about you when you face heartache. Oh, well, you should have got over it. You should have saved money. Or you should have been doing this and you should have been doing that. You remember those things. If you don't care about anybody else, no one would give a damn about you. In most cases, don't nobody give a damn about you anyway. But I'm not going to sign up for that. I think everybody needs an opportunity. We pay millions upon millions of dollars every year in taxes and nothing. The roads are not being fixed. The schools are not being funded. After school programs are not being funded. What are y'all doing with this money? But you know what? The senators and state representatives, Lindsey Graham, worth $125 million. Another dude in Congress is worth $200 million. All the way down to like $5-10 million. But y'all want people, those same people, you got people in there deciding if poor people can pay their bills or not, and people who are afraid. You got food deserts in the black community and other impoverished communities, but you want people to use their best health? Stop it. Knock it off. Please miss me with that nonsense. And then speaking of nonsense, I'm about to offend a few people, and I understand. I don't care. Look. People see things the way they see them, they live the way they live, and they act the way they should act according to their best interests. And the reason I'm saying that is this. You got people in the United States of America who are afraid of the vaccination. You got conspiracy theorists in regards to the vaccination. You got conspiracy theorists about the COVID. It's a whole bunch, it's a myriad of ideas circulating throughout the country. And guess what? Whichever side of the aisle you stand on, pro-vaccination or con-vaccination, you're right, because you're talking about your body and what's best to do for you. And I'm tired of people having conversations with people about a vaccination. Oh, yeah, and you disguise it as, hey, the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to live and I want the best for you. Really? When the last time you talked to one of your friends about eating a square meal, eating vitamins, drinking a gallon of water a day? How many prostate exams have you had conversations with your friends about? See, you're talking about this because the TV tells you to. Nobody knows what's going on, and nobody knows what's going to happen to you. But do the best you can for you. Stop trying to tell people what to do. Look, I think I wear a mask, and I would appreciate other people around me wearing masks. But if you don't want to wear a mask, just stay the hell away from me. If you're not putting anybody else in danger, you're doing what's best for you. Now, if you are including other people in your protest or anti, then that's when you can be pointed at. But to tell you talking about you doing this for the people's best interest, really? Again, how many times do you talk to people about being a vegan or reducing the meat, the same meat that the Food and Drug Administration don't tell you that causes cancer and diabetes? Do you talk to your friends about that? Do you talk to your people about eating more vegetables? Do you do that? Do you talk to your friends and family about getting up, exercising every day? You don't talk. When the last time you talked to your friend about a prostate exam, a HIV exam, diabetes, heart disease? Do you talk? Because you telling me and you're telling others, you're talking about this health scare to help people, and you're looking out for your friends and family's best interest. Well, if that's the case, you need to be talking about everything, but you're not. You're listening to the television, you're listening to the radio, and you're getting scared, and I'm going to do what they said on TV. And again, nobody's right or wrong. I'm not right. Well, what I'm saying, this is my opinion. This is purely my opinion, but I don't understand how you want to dress this up, and I'm doing what's best for my community. But hepatitis is a real thing. Measles, mumps, chickenpox are real things. HIV, AIDS, real things. Syphilis, gonorrhea, real things. The common cold, a real thing. The flu is a real thing. How many of these things are you fighting? Do you use herbs? Do you eat a ton of vegetables? Are you properly hydrated? Is your digestive tract on pace? Are you having bowel movements shortly after you eat? Are you having those conversations? But you're not. What are you doing for stress? Do you talk to your friends? Do you know people are still having anxiety attacks? Hell, my dumbass had one today. So what, though? But people are not talking to their friends about the stress levels that they're under, their bills being late. Do you call people and ask them, are you okay? Can I talk to you? Because if you're not doing that, you're really not giving a damn about people. These are your friends. These are your family. These are the people you say you care about, but you're not doing that. So how is this vaccine helping them? Because guess what? That diabetes, that asthma, that all of that stuff, all of the stuff that bothers us, it's still bothering us. Where's the help? Are you calling your alderman and having him have or somebody open up fruit stands and vegetable stands in your community so it won't be food deserts in your community, so your kids won't be eating fast food all the time? Do you talk to your friends about how many times they cook home cooked meals and then sit there and digest and sit there and talk to their kids? Are you talking to them about that? Are you talking to them stresses that the kids have? Are you talking to them about the murder rate? Are you talking to them about people like my homeboy who died this week? Are you talking about that? We're not talking about that, though. So you really don't care. You're just regurgitating things that you heard on TV, and that's what's going to help us go back outside. So going back outside, is that important? Is it really that damn important? No, it's not. Because you being alive is that damn important. That's what's important, right? That's what's important. We need to cut it out. We really do. Look, I don't want anybody on earth whether you're good, bad, or indifferent, because if you're a bad person, quote unquote, you have an opportunity to change who you are. If you're a good person, you can enhance and spread that goodness. So I ain't trying to hit at, oh man, I want people to do this. I don't want people. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't care. You don't care. And I'm not trying to indict anybody, but I just want people to stop and realize this damn pandemic is not the only issue that we have out here. People are stressing out. People are checking out for other reasons. We're not exercising properly. We're not eating properly. We're not caring for each other. We're not talking to each other. So, those are things that help this virus seep into your body and destroy you as well. Is your body alkaline? See, these are the things that we need to be talking about, and these are some of the things that will help us do away with this ugly virus that is destroying us. So, yeah, if you choose to get the vaccination, God bless you. I wish you nothing but the best. If you choose not, stay to yourself. Keep a mask. Everybody keep a mask on. So the mask isn't to protect you. It's to protect the people who you may have it. I got a couple of friends that's recovering from it, and I talk to them every day. How many times you call one of your closest friends and say, hey man, how you doing? Hey girl, how you doing? Not to shoot the crap, not to laugh and joke, not to kick it, but just to ask how they are doing. And I'm not the world center of attention. I'm not the most the world foremost expert on helping people out. I'm just saying, if we are going to be on top of people about their health and welfare, we need to be on top of it about health in general, not just the COVID. And if this thing drops off the face of the earth tomorrow, we still need to be doing it, since everybody care all of a sudden. And yeah, I'm on the soapbox because you know what? I'll be be honest. I let myself down today. Found out that I had a fear. I didn't face that fear. I'm gonna face it Tuesday though. In 7 days, I'm gonna face it. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. But what I am here to say is this. No matter what's going on in the world, if you really care about people, COVID ain't the only thing that's destroying us. It's diet, it's lack of exercise, it's mental health, it's all of this stuff. It's the stresses. All this stuff, man. All this stuff. So if you really want to help people and you really want to be the best human being you can be and you really care about people like you claim that you do, start just talking to people about their problems. Start just having conversations with people about, are you stressed out? Hey man, I read this. This may help you. Don't just talk about this thing that's on the television, on the radio, and on the internet, and on Twitter, and on Facebook, and this, that, and the third. Yeah, we all have lost people to this or not to this. If you care about people's health, care about them from here to the bottom of their feet. Whether it's COVID or the flu or the common cold. Whether it's HIV, hepatitis, or AIDS, or anything else. That's what you do. If you give a damn about humanity, stop being the smartest dude around you. Move into a space that you're the dumbest person, and then start helping people. Period. As I move along, I think about this cat, Roland Martin. This is one of the problems that we have in the community, and the thing that I'm going to touch on after this is going to make me sound a bit hypocritical, but hey, man, it is what it is. I want to talk about the brother Roland Martin. Now, Sha'Carri Rich is at this point a controversial figure at this point, right? And the reason she's controversial is because she's outrageous, she's outlandish, she's bombastic, she's in your face, right? What really bothers me about this thing is you got Roland Martin running her down. The first chance he got, he ran her in the ground. Yeah, she came butt naked last in the race. I get it. All y'all people who don't like bombastic people, y'all lying. Y'all lying. The reason I say you're lying is this. You love Muhammad Ali, but you hate Floyd Mayweather. You love Sugar Ray Leonard, but you don't like Mike Tyson. You love Mike Tyson, and you love these damn rappers, but you love, what's his name? What's the little homie name who was on the Breakfast Club? I was giving Boosie Badass. You love Boosie Badass, but you hate Sha'Carri. You love 50 Cent, but you hate Sha'Carri. You don't like LeBron James because he's too in your face and it's too this and too that. Why do you hate anybody who's celebrating themselves, Roland? Look, do I agree with the way the sister behaved? No, I don't. I wouldn't have done it. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But for you to have your own network and come your fat head ass on TV, yeah, I'm mad, man. I'm mad. I'm mad at myself, so I'm taking it out on everybody. You come your fat ass on TV and you run a 21-year-old young lady in the ground, and me and you about the same age. You about 50, 51 like me. So you take time out the day, you know CNN, MSNBC, NAB, NB, and CBS gonna tear a new one. You know all these networks, and ESPN and Fox Sports, they gonna kick her clean in the behind. And you know it, man. You know it. But you couldn't pass up the opportunity. See, that's the thing, man. Whether we agree with people or not, we need to start understanding that this is not the place to do it. Those are in-house conversations. If you don't like the way she's getting down, you ain't got to address it. You don't have to address it, Roland, but you did. Because you think it's sweet and you think it's slick out here because you got a degree and you own your own network and you can do what you want to do and live the way you want to live. Right, Roland? Nah, man. See, that cancel culture thing need to catch up with you. Because I don't care if you're an alpha. I don't care if you have more money than me. You're not smart as me, man. Because you know what? You have the means to get in contact with that young lady and talk to that young lady on a one-on-one. If you don't like her behavior, you can talk to her and you can give her some wisdoms. But you chose not to. That's the second time you've done it. King Randall down there, I think he in Macon, Georgia. He's picking up young men, bringing them into his house, giving them structure, giving them tools, and giving them guidance. And you tried to jump down his throat for not voting. But guess what? He's doing something far more important than voting. That's saving our young men. And guess what? If you would have just had a conversation with him or listen, as my man Doc always reiterates about what I say, you listen to understand and not to damn make judgment or respond, because that's what you were doing. You were doing just what Sean Hannity and those guys done, and that's what you got fired from CNN for, and that's why you got fired from TV1, because you was being yourself, and then you turned around and do the same thing to that young brother and this young sister. And don't nobody talk about it. Yeah, they was on your head on Twitter and Instagram, but the whole community need to be on your head. Because if we're a team, man. We're going to win together, we're going to lose together. And speaking of that, our sister Sha'Carri. I was disappointed in her. She did. You turned around. You don't like. I know she didn't like what Roland said. I know she didn't like what the haters were saying on Instagram and Twitter and all these social media outlets, because she was popping back and she was going at it with people, right? Because, oh, well, you should have known better. Look, man, one thing I know about a 21-year-old person, between the ages of probably 11 and 25, you damn near have a PhD in screwing up. You make more mistakes during that period because you trying things, you don't believe things, can't nobody really tell you anything. You think you got the world figured out and you don't know anything because you don't really have any life experience. So messing up is what young people do. So people my age and older, we don't need to be standing outside disrespecting them, talking about, oh man, you see, that's what's wrong with y'all. What's wrong with them is we didn't raise them right as a community. Because, oh man, they crazy, you can't talk to them. But every time I talk to one of these young people, they're receptive to me. What, am I the damn golden child? Hell no, I ain't special like that. But you know what? They never give me no hard pushback. They never give me no disrespect. And they always thank me for talking to them and not at them. But Sha'Carri, I'm disappointed in you. Because if you don't like to be kicked in the behind, why would you kick Elaine Thompson in the behind? The sister, look, I don't know what y'all got going on behind the scenes. Maybe the lady from Jamaica disrespected you or played you to the left or said something that you didn't like in the past, and you like, look, don't say nothing to me. I get that, sister. But you know what she didn't do was publicly denounce you. She said that we need to be behind you. She said we should support you. And what you say, you call her phony on TV. If she was being phony, again, we need to learn how to have these conversations behind closed doors. If I have a problem with my man Eli right here, if I got a problem with my man Patar, if I got a problem with Joe Knox, Big Illinois, anybody I know, I'm going to call them. I wish I would go on these ass and disrespect anybody. I got beef with a bunch of people. I got mad beef out here in these streets. Yes, Mr. Pro Black got beef. But you know what? If any of those people I got beef with, if they wanted to work with me in a positive manner, I'll bury that beef and move forward. Because this is bigger than me. But we would rather huff and puff and blow the wind down. I ain't got nothing to say to nobody on these airwaves. I don't care what you say about me. I'm not going to disrespect anybody from this community. Today, again, I found out something about me today that I need to fix. So I damn sure can't sit around and point the finger at nobody else. I can't do that, man. But y'all like doing that. And I'm not talking about my faithful listeners. I'm talking about the people in this community. If you don't want to fall subject to the tyranny that's going on in the United States of America, you better learn how to shut the hell up and deal with each other one-on-one. You want to pretend that this stuff ain't going on. You want to pretend all this stuff ain't happening. Cool. Do your thing. But it's going to come a time that you're going to need somebody from this community to stand up for you. And if they don't stand up for you, then you got to suffer the consequences, don't you? So instead, look, I notice a lot of people in our community love doing, we need to be more like this group. See, that group get along. This group get along. This group get along. And that very person that you hear say that will say, man, I don't mess with my man. He a sucker. He's a sucker. I don't really like him. No, that's not the way. Because those communities that you think are doing all this melding of the minds, they got beef in those communities too. You're just not part of that gumbo. There are people, like everybody always point to, in my community, we point to the Latino community and we point to the Jewish community and say we need to be more like them. But what you don't understand is they got beef too. But they don't put their beef in the streets. And we do. Stop getting on social media and saying, I can't stand Patar. Patar makes me sick. Big Illinois, he did this. We sick of him. No. You got the brother Chris Brown kicking Kanye West in the head. You got Soulja Boy kicking Kanye West in the head. Why? If you don't mess with Kanye no more, just don't mess with him no more. You don't have to tell the world, because then you're going to say the system and the man is out to get you, but you just armed the man. You just gave the man bullets in which he can shoot you if he chooses. But then you're going to complain about the system because the system is rigged, it's a fixed fight, all that nonsense we talk about. Present company included though, right? But see, the thing is, before I said this, y'all don't know I got a lot of beef out here in these streets. Some of the people that I got beef with don't even know. Because I'm not finna stop being rap because you a sucker, right? You don't care about rap, that's cool. I'ma still live up to being rap, right? So I'm just asking y'all to do the same thing, man. You don't have to like anybody. Get out of this like thing. Your feelings and like. How you made me feel, HRap. And my feelings. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's not about your feelings. It's about the collective. Because just like old boy who running for governor in Texas, he was down with the good old boys, and the police ran down on his wife and shook his wife up. He can't even say it was racial profiling because that don't happen in his world, right? That's some poor stuff. Poor people only do that, right? See, this is why I don't care if you're a Republican, conservative Republican. Hey, newsflash, Republicans. Most black people believe in the same thing that y'all believe in. We just don't like the racism that y'all bring along with it. How about that? How about that? We rock with y'all on a lot of things. Most black people ain't rocking with the abortion get down. But y'all do. Y'all don't either. Most black people love God more than they love themselves. And that's what y'all do. But guess what? Most black people ain't part of hate groups like the skinheads and stuff like that. But y'all work with that. Foolishness. See, your hatred for other humanity, other members of humanity, is blinding you in regards to taking over the world. And I'm glad. Because I'm going to do what I can do to help my folks. Because again, I found out something ugly about myself today. And I'm going to fix that. I found out my kryptonite today. So, what I'm saying is this, man. You can sit around and pass judgment. And I'm not passing judgment on Sha'Carri. But because everybody's sitting around talking about how she should have acted and this, that, and the third. Only thing I'm saying, young sister, you ain't got to kick another sister in the face. And black folks, I am not speaking in broad and ambiguous terms. I am literally cutting off people who tell me, when I come up with an idea, if you tell me how it could go wrong, I'm never talking to you again. Because I don't need you no more. I don't. Say what you want to say, do it how you want to do it, but I don't need any negativity. Because going forward, listen and listen clearly. Every idea that you come up with probably has an 85% chance of failing. Guess what? This light right here that's shining on me, the dude who invented this light, people called him crazy. That will never happen. The person who invented the cell phone, another brother, Granville Woods. He don't get the credit for it, but we know it was Granville. Shout out to Granville. Boom. People say, oh, you want to talk to somebody and they ain't even in front of you and you let that down there? That's crazy. All those ideas were supposed to fail. Oh, you want a horseless carriage? You gonna call it a car? Boy, stop. It was crazy. And look at it now. We got cars driving themselves. Hold on, wait a minute. We just came up with video games, and now you want individual games. What you gonna call it? A cartridge? Another black man invention. Oh, you want to turn the TV on, want to get up off your lazy behind? Yeah. Another invention by a black man. And that sound crazy. The day before he invented it, the day before he put everything in motion, everybody said he was crazy. So going forward, that ain't gonna work. What if this? What if they not gonna let you do that? What if it this happened? Understand, those will be the last words I hear from you. I don't need no more negativity. I'm putting positive people around me. And if you stupid enough to think, hey man, this dude rap won't yes man around him, then I'm gonna let you be stupid by yourself too, because that's not what I'm saying. I don't need to know what could fail, because I know if you consider me relatively intelligent, like I get that, man, you're a smart guy, rap. If you think that and you tell me how something could fail, you don't really believe that. You just saying it and you shining me over, and I don't need that. And no one needs that. If you tell somebody how they plan ain't working, how that it might not work because I heard about it, they did it over here like that, this is what you need to do. That's what you need to be adding to that conversation. Otherwise, hey man, hey, 2 fingers, 1 word, I'm out. That's what it is. So, Sister Sha'Carri, you didn't have to do that to the sister publicly. We got to get the hell off this social media denigrating our folks. We have to get off this. We have to stop that. I'm not going to denigrate that sister. She's 21 years old. She's young enough to come back from that. I just don't want you to make that same mistake again, right? That's all I want. You don't have to listen to rap on nothing else. But I need us to stop this negative connotation, and it ain't always got to be you ain't this and you ain't that. That ain't gonna work. They ain't gonna. Who the hell is they, and how do you know? You are basing this off what? Because everything. Are you telling me I got people on Twitch. I got people on YouTube. I got people on Spreaker. People going to download this on Apple Podcasts and a million other places. And you told me in 1988 when I left high school that I was going to be doing this, I'd have told you it's not possible. But here we are. This the Jetsons. This is the same thing we saw in the Jetsons. So if this is possible, anything is possible. With that being said, here goes some more information I want to share with you. I need you to suck this up and enjoy it because I got a few more things to talk about, a few more things to sip on, and this is good for me and you to know.
Hi, I'm Glenn Smith. This is Crash Course Black American History. And today, we're learning about the transatlantic slave trade, which spanned nearly 400 years from the late 15th century to the late 19th century. The majority of enslaved Africans were taken from 6 primary regions: Senegambia, Sierra Leone and the Windward Coast, the Gold Coast, the Bight of Benin, the Bight of Biafra, and West Central Africa, also known as Congo and Angola. In his 1935 book, Black Reconstruction in America, scholar and civil rights leader W.E.B. Du Bois described the Atlantic slave trade as, quote, the most magnificent drama in the last 1,000 years of human history. And he didn't mean magnificent in a good way. I want to note up top, this episode will address some challenging topics, including sexual violence and images of extreme violence. We believe, however, it is important to discuss these ideas thoroughly so that we can fully grapple with the reality of U.S. history. An estimated 12.4 million people were loaded on slave ships and carried through what became known as the Middle Passage, which moved across the Atlantic and included many different destinations. It was named the Middle Passage because it was the second of 3 parts of what became known as the triangular trade. The first leg of the journey carried cargo like textiles, iron, alcohol, firearms, and gunpowder from Europe to Africa's western coast. When the ships reached the coast of Western Africa, the cargo was exchanged for people. From there, ships loaded with human beings made their way to the Americas, where the enslaved Africans were sold in exchange for goods like sugar and tobacco before the ships made their way back to Europe. It's estimated that over the course of the Middle Passage, 2 million African captives died, their bodies often tossed overboard. What some people might not know about the slave trade is that the vast majority of people did not actually go to the United States. In fact, far from it. Only about 5% of captured Africans were brought directly to what would eventually become the U.S. The largest proportion, around 41%, went to Brazil, while millions of others were scattered across islands in the Caribbean and South America. As we examine slavery in the United States, from its earliest moments when people were first taken from their homes, all the way through the end of the Civil War, it's important to lift up the narratives and accounts of enslaved people themselves, as they can provide us with a perspective on this horrific institution in ways that few other documents can. For example, Olaudah Equiano, an African captured as a boy, wrote in his 1789 autobiography the interesting narrative of the life of Olaudah Equiano about the experience of being captured and taken to the edge of the ocean and being boarded onto the ship. I was immediately handled and tossed up to see if I were sound by some of the crew, and I was now persuaded that I had gotten into a world of bad spirits, and that they were going to kill me. Their complexions, too differing so much from ours, their long hair, and the language Now, the idea of trying to take one's own life might seem like a strange sort of resistance to some. But what you have to consider is that these captured Africans represented money, real money, to those who were holding them in chains on these ships. So someone attempting to take their own life represented the ability to determine the outcome of your life for yourself, rather than having it imposed on you by someone else. It also allowed them to undermine the economic incentives that undergirded the entire institution. Furthermore, in the case of jumping overboard, some of the captured Africans' spiritual beliefs gave them the sense that if they could just make it into the water, the ocean would carry their bodies home. Sometimes, as a result, the enslavers on the ship would put nets on the side of the boat to prevent people from jumping into the sea. One of the most heinous responses to slave resistance during the Middle Passage came in the form of something called speculum orum, which was a screw-like device that forced someone's mouth open and allowed the resistant African to be force-fed against their will. It was not uncommon for this device to break someone's teeth, displace their jaw, or rip their mouth apart. If that didn't work, other interventions included placing hot coals on a person's lips until they opened their mouths, or thumb screws, a device in which a victim's fingers or toes were placed in a vice and slowly crushed until they complied. Given all this, we should be clear that the decision millions made to stay alive in the face of unimaginable violence and uncertainty, that too was an act of resistance. Historian Marcus Rediker identifies the period from 1700 to 1808 as the most destructive time of the transatlantic slave trade. Roughly 2/3 of the total of enslaved Africans were trafficked out of Africa and to the Americas during this period. What's more, the death toll of the transatlantic slave trade was just staggering. According to historian Jill Lepore, for every 100 people taken from Africa's interior, only 64 of them would survive the trip to the coast itself. Of those 64, only around 48 would survive the weeks-long journey across the Atlantic. Of those 48 who stepped off the ship, only 28 to 30 would survive the first 3 to 4 years in the colony. Before we go on, a quick note here about language. Throughout this series, we will try to be consistent using the term enslaved rather than slave to refer to African and African descendant people who were held here in bondage. This distinction is important because saying enslaved
Thank you for tuning in. This is HRap B, built for this network. Most important, go to Spreaker.com and subscribe. I need you to look up Built for This Network. Again, subscribe to on Spreaker.com, and then you'll be able to check us out on multiple platforms. We have several different shows, and it's just not me running my mouth. We have a myriad of shows, which includes number one Chief Rocker Jersey Vern, my man DJ Mad Knox, with Chiz Roundtree, James Earl, as well as and James Earl doing Theory of the Culture. We had DJ Mukadeen, we had DJ Purplicious, and we continue to grow on a regular basis. Big Illinois is expanding his platform again. As he's been doing shows periodically, and he's coming back with the Backyard soon. He's the grand wizard of that, and we're gonna continue to support those as well. And again, built for this network on Spreaker.com, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Deezer, and Amazon. Thank you for tuning in. Now, with that being said, as you see, for the last 400 years, we have not been a safe community. Our community has been under attack for the last 400 years, and this is why I was disappointed in my sister Shakari. Even though she's a young lady, she's 21 years old. I'm not holding a 21-year-old accountable the way I would hold somebody that's 30 years her senior, much like myself and Roland Martin. But what we're going to have to do is ensure that we do the right things at all times. Period. Point blank, full stop, end of sentence. We must do the right thing by our people. But most important, and this is how I'm going to close out the show, we are not safe. The reason I say we're not safe is this. We're safe. There's always safety amongst counsel. And that's scripture. That's scripture. It's always safety amongst counsel, meaning when you are amongst good people who are like-minded individuals, you're safe. Because anytime you make a mistake, they'll cover you. And if you make a mistake, they'll cover you. And if they make a mistake, you cover them. No matter man, woman, child, dog, cat, rat, whatever, right? But we're in a situation to whereas we just entered an administration that has put us on notice. For whatever reason, you see multiple people from other cultures attempting to attack us on a regular basis. If you tune in to Rated Kev on YouTube, you'll understand the firearms aspect of this. Most gun laws are contrived to stop you from getting it. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm going to give you an example. According to the census, we only make up 13% of the population. Crime and mayhem is on the rise every single solitary day. 13% of the population cannot represent most of the criminals. Now, you could be a fool and look at all the brothers that are incarcerated. That would be the foolish way to look at it. Just because you get caught don't mean you're the only person doing crime. Again, just because you get caught does not mean you're the only person doing crime. If you don't agree or if you disagree or don't believe what I'm saying, how many of those people who attempted to overthrow the government in January 6, 2021, those people tried to overthrow the government of the United States of America? How many of those people in jail? I didn't think so. All of those people should be in jail, because if you can find Osama bin Laden in a hole in another country, you can find anybody who was at that insurrection, and they should be charged with sedition. And if you don't know what sedition is, do yourself a favor and look up sedition and ask yourself, and then find out what Thomas Jefferson did to a person who was charged with sedition. Bang! There it is. So, when you're in a situation to where you have people at football games, young brother, somebody trying to touch his hair, he turns around and peacefully talks to this lady. She ups her hand and slaps him, and he beats the hell out of her boyfriend. People are, well, he shouldn't have hit her. Go to hell if you think that. If you violate somebody's humanity, what follows behind that is your fault. Period. It's not up for discussion to me. You can offer your opinion. I'm not going to listen. Don't violate people's humanity. It's the moral of the story. Then you got a guy down in Florida who pulls out his gun and pull a stay in your right thing and start yelling out racial epithet. Then you got a guy in Mississippi doing the same thing, run up on a news reporter in the midst of reporting about a hurricane, and the brother calmly just, hey man, back to you, Bob, and blah, 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 and then the security steps in the way. This lets you know that we're in a bad situation in regards to our community. Because if people are comfortable attacking us, that means we haven't been defending ourselves. Because we have been attempting to kumbaya and get along with the entire world. If you have younger cousins, if you have ladies, if you have younger brothers, nieces, or nephews in your family, it's time for you to start paying attention to Rated Care page, learning about firearms, educating yourself about firearms, and going and get ready to protect your community. Because other people, I've heard a woman call for the National Guard and a person from the military. People, look, they brainwash you and make you think you're committing all the crimes. So we need to have martial law. No, we don't. Because as a military person says on a post saluted by the elder Chuck D. Salute, the person in the military said, you don't want us to take over your town, because if we take over your town and you say, hey, I want to go in the house, I ain't going in the house. They have the right to shoot you dead, and nothing's gonna happen. So I advise the people in my community, men and women, to prepare to defend yourselves, because I'm not telling you that what happened in January was a test run, but it definitely looked like one. It definitely looked like one. And stop listening to these people. Look, y'all know my stance used to be to hell with voting, yada, yada, yada. A lot of people who support me didn't like that stance. So you know what I did? I amended my stance. So what we're going to do, since we're going to stay here, we made the decision that this is our land. Our folks died and defended this. We was in every war. Y'all ran the gambit. I got people screaming on me on Twitter and Instagram in the inbox, and we're having educated conversations, right? Not a problem. Shout out to Karen Hunter, because she says the same thing, and she's my inspiration. Salute to the queen, right? Now, we do this. But what we need to do is you need to start talking to your younger relatives, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and letting them know that they're going to be aldermen, letting them know they're going to be police officers, letting them know they're going to be military personnel, because at that point you infiltrate and you destroy from within, like they've done to the Black Panther Party, like they've done with Marcus Garvey's family, like they've done with Noble Drew Ali, like they've done with the Nation of Islam, that's why Malcolm X is dead, like they did with the Student Nonviolent Coalition, that's why Martin Luther King did, and we can go on and on and on about organizations that the United States federal government infiltrated and destroyed inside out, right? We could do that. So, if you want to live on these lands, because you figure, hey, my grandmother, my grandfather, everybody that died over here, and they owe it to us, not a problem. You are going to have to start protecting yourself with firearms, educating your children about their true history. None of this fluff that's in these books. They making it illegal for your kids to learn the actual history in school. That's why you need to be purchasing. You need to have a personal library in your home, and we need to start going to Sankofa and Ta-Nehisi Coates' dad, who's a publisher, and we need to be buying out all their books and learning about our information. I'm in conversation with a brother who's talking about the trauma and how we're not going to put that trauma in us. We're just going to alert ourselves to this trauma and get better from it. It's a book called My Grandmother's Hands. It is a must-read, my brothers and sisters. It is a must-read, because what we're going to do, if we're not going to pack up and leave and create another universe, we're going to stay here, and we're going to get, I don't care if you one of these uppity people that think ghetto and hood people need to be put under the ground, cool. You and your uppity friends get together, and you're going to have to build up a tolerance for hood people. Just because you hood don't mean we're going to support you. But because you live in the hood, we're not going to shun you. We're going to educate our people from front to back, top to bottom, left to right, up and down, right? And we're going to get 3D education, and we're going to arm our people with information so they'll know that you are not a hood rat, you are not a thug, you are not a gangster, you are not a bum, you are not a drug addict, you are not an alcoholic. You are a intelligent, meaningful, useful descendant of the continent and a descendant of the major continent of Africa. You are indigenous to North America. You are indigenous to, you are transplant from Africa. Nobody is better than you. Nobody can do anything that you can't do. And another thing, we're not gonna buy into this. As the brother just said on the video, you are not a slave. Your ancestors were prisoners of war that were enslaved in North America. And if you watched the video before last week, you saw how some of us were already here. And if you don't believe it, all you have to do is, y'all know I'm not a big Henry Louis Gates fan, but look at some of those ancestral things. When the MC, Super MC out of Philadelphia, Salute to Black Thought, did his ancestry, and we found out his family was here in the 1300s. If his family dates back to the 1300s, there's no way in hell we wasn't here in 1100. If Black Thought family was here in the 1300s and the 1400s, that means we were here before slavery, and if we were here before slavery, nobody can tell us anything. Salute to Marcus Garvey. Rest in peace. His birthday was last week. Salute to Robert Crash. His birthday is today. But what we're going to do on this platform, and I am revamping, and I told y'all I was in the midst of revamping. I'm talking to people right now. I'm talking to Super Funny Nate Jackson. I'm talking to the brother who wrote the show. I'm at book, and I'm talking to, it was another person. I'm talking to Foster, a coach for the Panthers. I'm going to talk to politicians. I'm going to talk to comedians. I'm going to talk to all forms of entertainment. We're going to talk to historians. I got a bunch of people on the hook because I'm changing my days from Tuesdays and Saturday to Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are the days my shows will be on. I'm no longer doing Tuesdays and Saturday, Tuesdays and Thursday. I'm going to have to work a little harder because at that point, I'm going to be on air Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm going to be on the Forecast Monday on BS3 Radio, Tuesday right here. Wednesday, I'm going to be on the Backyard. Thursday, I'm going to be on the End of the Bench. And I might do something Friday too. You never know. But at the end of the day, I'm going to bust my ass so my folks could get up out of this hole. We're going to learn more about us. We're going to empower each other, and we're going to protect each other. And if anybody who's not up with that, sucks to be you. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you're about. I really don't care. This is about my people. This is about my mission. And this is about what I'm going to do. And by the way, I'm going to close out by saying this. A lot of people think that we don't do enough because they listen to the television and the television tell them about us. The television is wrong and I know it, and you may not know it, but I'm going to teach you it's wrong. What I'm going to do is dedicate the rest of my life to opening up the Dijon Music Academy, DEJON Music Academy. DEJON Music Academy. The reason I'm going to do that is this. It's a trickle-down effect in regards to, in my opinion, the violence in the streets. I could tell you about Chicago, Illinois, but I know it's throughout the United States of America. When I was younger, around age 10, I was supposed to join my elementary school band. With that, the band was defunded and I had to turn to sports. Now, luckily, I had some natural athletic ability. Otherwise, I would have been stuck and potentially went down the wrong path as well. But I was saved. I had salute to my man, my coach, Willie Green. Salute to my coach, Jimmy Field. Salute to my coach, Fred Thomas. Without them, I don't know what the hell I would have done. God bless them for taking up for me. God bless them for doing what they had to do with me and my friends. And God and thank God I had the proper guidance with them, my big brothers, my brother Anu right here, and Anthony Thomas, my brother John, and a bunch of other people who looked out for me, right? I was lucky. But it's a lot of people out in these streets who don't have any outlets for that inability to do it because sports has no interest in them. My son isn't a bad kid at all. He's never been in trouble in his life, but my son didn't give a damn about sports. But just imagine that young brother, my son or myself, with a saxophone, a trumpet, or some drums, or guitar in their hand. All these young brothers who want to be rappers, just imagine if they could write their own music. Look, if you want to be a rap, maybe you're a beat maker now, but you could be a composer. So what happens at the Dijon Music Program, We're going to teach you how to read and write music and compose music. You're going to have people, you got young sisters and brothers out here who can sing. They don't want to be rappers, they're singers. And they don't want to rap and sing about the hood. They want to rap and sing about what Curtis Mayfield and Gladys Knight and all those, and two of the greatest songwriters ever, Ashford and Simpson. They want to be the next Ashford and Simpson. Without a music program, you have no next Ashford and Simpson. There you can create blues. I am going to create a program so I could put my young people in a music setting, and then some of them are going to be music moguls. Some of them are going to be writers. Some of them are going to be production. Some of them are going to be composers. Some of them are going to create bands, and I'm going to create a studio, and I'm going to put them in that studio, and I'm not going to charge them a dime. The only obligation they have to me financially, when that studio is in effect, you must record an entire album of all original music, and then we're going to upload your joint to iTunes, and we're going to come and I'm going to interview you here on the end of the bench. And when you get interviewed on the end of the bench, hopefully y'all are down, y'all are like the vibe, y'all are downloaded, and now we ain't got to worry about the good music, because y'all gonna create the good music. People like D Great, Big Illinois, DJ Mad Knox, and others gonna play that music, and we're gonna become a self-contained unit. And then some of us gonna do like my man D Great, create Club Gudio. And it's going to be a physical standing. And then guess what? It's some people like my daughter, who's a fashion designer. She's going to make y'all clothes. And y'all going to put your glad rags on. And you're going to go to a black joint and listen to black music created by young black people. And those people are going to come to L.A. and they're going to go down to Dallas, and they're going to go around to Houston. They're going to go over to Mississippi. They're going to go over to Alabama. They're going to go over to Georgia. They're going to go over to Florida. And we're going to reopen the vegan circuit. Because we ain't eating no more damn chitlins. The vegetable circus. We're going to call it the grapevine. And that's what we're going to do. That's my plan. That's my mission. That's what I'm going to do. I got a fear to conquer to get over within the next 7 days. I'm going to do that. And then that's going to be step one of my mission. And when I beat this fear, I'm going to beat they ass. With that being said, thank y'all for tuning in. I was late as hell today because I went to the doctor. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I found out my kryptonite. So at this point, I'm preparing a lead suit for next week so I can beat the kryptonite, right? But with that being said, I want to thank each and every one of y'all to tune in. Tune in 2 days. I got most stuff right here on my pad. The Thursday show is already wrote down. It's going to be added to it. Tuesdays and Thursday at 5 p.m. As a matter of fact, Monday morning, number one Chief Rocker Jersey Vern is coming back soon. He on the recovery. Monday evening is the forecast on BS3 Radio. Monday afternoon is DJ Mad Knox. Monday evening is me. Wednesday afternoon is DJ Mad Knox. With the theory of the culture. Wednesday evening is my main man, my little brother, Big Illinois. Thursday, DJ Mad Knox is going to be back on fire on the mix. Thursday evening, I'm coming back. DJ Mad Knox Friday. Maybe Big Illinois on Saturday. Lisa Deuce on Saturday. DJ Mooka Dean on Sunday. We back. Built for This Network is back. Each and every one of us either been in the hospital or recovering from something. We back. We on point like Trick Dice. I want to thank you for tuning in. And as I say every week, you better dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white, light with dream flows in technicolor and surround sound. This your man HRap B. You already know how I get down. 2 fingers, 1 word, and I got to do one more thing. The people who inspired me and people who I need you to pay attention to too is this. The Ghetto Boys with Willie D and Scarface. They talking about pertinent things and they trying to uplift the community as well. I got my man Tariq Nasheed, historian, good all around good brother. Nori, fun, entertaining, engaged, and he paying homage to people who don't get homage paid to them. Talib Kweli, he's doing it on the People's Party. Ray Grady, he's doing it on the Alpha Male Show. My man Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. Corey Holcomb will be on tonight. Craig Fax is on now. Craig Smith is called Craig's Facts. Al Sharpton, Reverend Al Sharpton on 126 on Sirius Satellite Radio. The illustrious Heather B, hip hop's queen. At her finest, she ain't got nothing but positivity and growth that she talks about. One of the dopest ladies that you probably never heard of, Larry Daniel Favors, is bringing the pain. And if you cross the line, it will give you the most polite slap in your face that you'll ever see in your life. But it's gonna be informative and beneficial. And one of the elder, the leader of the pack, the great Joe Madison, salute. And then you got Baba Greg Carr laying it down, one of the most informed people I've ever known, I've ever come in contact in my life. Thank God I stumbled upon him. And salute to the Queen Mother, Karen Hunter. If you don't know who Karen Hunter is, you missing something, man. You better find out who she is, and you better jump on her train, because that train going like a Mack truck down the hill with the pedal stuck. With that being said, y'all already know how we do this, man. Like I said, build those dreams, dream those dreams, and man up and woman up and live those dreams. Life without dream flows in black and white. Life with dream flows in technicolor surround sound, and y'all already know what's next. And if anybody has one thing wrong with, has an issue with anything I had to say tonight,
you better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you.
We are built for this network, for the strong, not the weak.